Hello, welcome to Political Chinwag. You're joining me, Scott, Jordan, and Zoe. Today we're joined by James Heale. He is the diary editor at The Spectator and co-author of Out of the Blue. Hello, James. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Good, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. We've got a few questions I want to ask you actually about Out of the Blue. When did you start writing it?
We started it August the 20th, and we finished it 64 days later on the day Liz Truss left Downing Street, which is probably a lot sooner than both Harry and I thought when we started writing the book.
No, I can definitely imagine. When did you start sort of getting the gut feeling that Liz is basically finished? And then,
Uh, it was probably the moment that I saw one of her number 10 aides having a stand-up row with my co-author outside a hotel lobby room at midnight on the Sunday of political Tory party conference, and it was about the 45p tax cut, and that was killed stone dead in front of my eyes at midnight on the first night of Tory conference, and after that it just went from bad to worse. And so that conference was the sense that this isn't going to survive as a political project.
yeah, it was pretty painful. With how far had you got then? So did you decide to write the sort of her premiership afterwards? Had you finished then gone, oh god, we're gonna have to add some more chapters in now and to include her actual premiership?
We just kept writing. We had covered all our early life and the various stages of the ministerial career, but we thought we'd end on that party conference by looking ahead to what the next 2 years would hold and what Trussism would be as a sort of political ideology and what Liz would be like as prime minister. Unfortunately, it ended up being a lot shorter in that sense, and we just then covered the last 3 weeks or so, ending October 24th and that fracking vote a couple of days earlier.
I think she should have got at least 100 days, don't you?
I mean, she did a lot in 49. I'd love to have seen what Liz Truss could have done in twice that period in office, 100 days. But I think she's done enough in the eyes of a lot of her colleagues.
Do you think? I mean, were you pro Liz Truss?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was about necessarily pro or anti. I think we were interested. Obviously, she'd been in cabinet for about 8 years and had sort of been in the kind of second 11 division of the cabinet for a long time, and then sort of stepped up and impressed at trade, and then the Foreign Office. I think she had a successful tenure there. So we were curious, and I certainly would say we weren't hostile, but I think as we went on, we could see we were writing the obituary of Britain short its own prime minister, which was a fairly salutary experience.
Did that speed up you releasing the book?
Yeah, we originally planned to release it on the 8th of December, and then I think we released the ebook on the 16th of November, and then the hardback a week or so after on the 24th of November. So we did get it. It did come out of the blue in terms of publishing dates.
I have to be honest, I haven't actually finished it yet. I'm listening to the audiobook. But I have to say, you haven't pulled any punches. I mean, it's not particularly nasty, but particularly around her affair comes up quite a lot. And I found it quite interesting how the association reacted to that in regards to her saying she didn't disclose it when she did, and the fact none of them decided to Google "had me in stitches."
I mean, that was the best line of the book. This is 2009. She says, they said we should have Googled her. No one in Norfolk has Google. I mean, this is like 10, 13 years ago. Incredible. That chapter is just a whole riot, honestly. Extraordinary. It's like something from the 1980s, let alone
Oh, absolutely.
2009.
I mean, I've only been part of sort of local councillor interviews, and even then, I'm googling people and going on Facebook. It's just like the first thing you do these days, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, all politics is local, and they don't come much more local than Norfolk at that time, it seems.
Did you struggle to get people to come forward for the book?
I think we would have. It would obviously be nice to have more time and talk to more people, and certain people chose not to talk to us for whatever reason. And obviously, a lot of people were constrained by being in office or being, advisors, etc., in some capacity. But I think we had pretty good. We were able to talk to most of the key players or people close to those players. Aides to ministers or people who were connected with the debates at the time. So we found we pretty much accomplished what we would have wanted in terms of the Westminster scene, certainly.
Did you interview Liz as well? Did you talk to her?
Yeah, we spoke to her. We interviewed her twice. We went to have a third interview that never materialised, understandably, given what happened with the government. And yeah, we interviewed her twice, and just it was very, very interesting. And you can see why when the cameras are off. she became prime minister because she's an engaging and intelligent woman who has a sense of humour, has insights. Very different, I think, to the comparisons sometimes people make with Theresa May, who has not been seen in such lovable terms. And yeah, I liked her personally, and I just think that some of the things that perhaps endear her as a person maybe didn't make her great as a prime minister. Perhaps.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I met Liz a couple of times, so I got to work on several of her hustings, the London one. And I have to be honest, when the leadership election happened and Boris was out, and I was very pro Penny Mordaunt, so I was supporting Penny Mordaunt, and then she obviously got knocked out on the third round, and I was at the point where I was like, well, I'm just gonna spoil my ballot. I I just don't like either of them. But having met after meeting Liz, like and talking to her personally, like you say, my view has totally changed, and she is so much different when she's talking to you as a person rather than to it because her speeches were a bit clunky. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I think that Liz Truss has many talents, but I don't think platform oratory was perhaps most evident during her career. But she made up for that in other ways. Perhaps she was good in the House of Commons, and not a bad media interviewer. It was just that she was never able to really do a fantastic oratorical performance or win the party over in that sense as much as say Boris Johnson or David Cameron did.
I think the others have actually got some questions for you as well, haven't you?
Hit me, go on. Yeah.
I have actually, James, just obviously discussing. Do you think that obviously such a short premiership from Liz Truss, do you think that's actually benefited the book itself, really? Obviously, a lot of people was interested in the life of Liz, obviously, what obviously led up to such a premiership, the shortest one, obviously, in political history. And is that, in regards, do you reckon that's benefited the sales of the book and definitely the interest of it?
Yeah, I think people, when she became prime minister, were saying, "Who is Liz Truss? Who is this woman?" I think they certainly know a bit more about her now, but I think now they're saying, in retrospect, "How did this happen?" So we're answering that in one sense. It was also, I suppose, helpful timing in that there was going to be a rival book put out by Lord Ashcroft reflecting on Liz Truss's first year in office. Well, I think we covered that pretty conclusively in 49 days. So that book, I understand, is not going to be the fabled biography of Liz Truss's premiership as it was entailed. I think it was. I mean, it was just an extraordinary time, and the book actually became a bit of a character in itself. It took on a life of its own. I think the moment we really knew we'd gone mainstream as a publication, a first-time publication, was when Keir Starmer cracked the joke of Prime Minister's Question. A book is being written on the Prime Minister. It's going to be out by Christmas. Is that the release date or the title? And I had people, shamefully, as political journalist, I wasn't actually watching PMQs at the time, and then my phone started, vibrating and lighting up, and they're just getting people from school being like, "Your book's been referenced at PMQs," and it was just it's a whole surreal moment. I actually wrote a piece to the Spectator being like, "Will anyone buy my Liz Truss book?" Talking about the perils of writing a book that's going to be outdated by the time you've already finished it, but certainly, as a history buff myself, it was certainly interesting to see the first rough draft of history being compiled with the ink still wet.
I remember seeing that PMQs. I think it's the first time I actually heard about the book was actually at the PMQs because I don't really keep in like up to date with the latest literature coming out as such. And I remember hearing it, and it was quite memorable. I was watching it live, and I laughed at it. I'm a conservative, but I did laugh at it. I thought it was great. Just for reference, I was ready for Rishi. I wasn't ready for.
You got him. You got Rishi in the end.
Any by default, let's be honest.
It saved a lot of. It saved a lot. It would have saved a lot of pain economically, but yeah. So no, I thought it was quite funny. I quite enjoyed the joke made, and obviously it was great for yourself as well. Getting the reference.
Oh, it's great. Honestly, first free copy should have gone to Keir Starmer. Thanks for all you've done, mate. He got one in the end. He got one at some at a lobby drinks later, but yeah, couldn't have done it without him and Liz coming together. Very bipartisan.
I was going to say, I think out of all the books I've read this year, I think that's going to be the political book of 2022. It was really good. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm really enjoying it. And compared to the other ones I've read,
that's really kind of you to say. It's been an incredible. We will. I mean, I was asked for predictions for 2023. I really hope there won't be more chaos than last year, a year of 4 prime ministers, if only for my mental sanity. But it was an incredible year. What 2 monarchs, 3 prime ministers, 4 chancellors. it was an extraordinary year to cover, and to add a little bit of history to that, a bit of context, was a real privilege, and I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm scared to say it. Can it get worse? Can it? Surely. But who knows? In this day and age, who knows?
We could have voted Labour in 2015 and had chaos with Ed Miliband, and God knows what knows.
Oh,
what
let's not go there. I'm not looking forward to the next election, so let's not go there.
I think we're going to have one next year.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe, did you have any questions about the book before we move on to something else?
No, I didn't. I was just going to say how much I enjoyed. I haven't finished it yet either, but I have really enjoyed reading it. It's been a really, really good read.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you. I'm glad you liked it, Zoe.
Just so you know, she was like the biggest Liz Truss fangirl out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Like,
I've spoken to so many of them, so I'm. It's nice to meet the biggest.
Outdone everyone else, like.
Put them to shame, you know.
Exactly.
Trust and trust.
Trusted to deliver. Yeah, I remember that one. Sorry, John, what did you want to go on to before we...
I was actually going to ask, obviously, I've got an interest. I'm not a journalist, I've got no qualifications as a journalist, but I enjoy writing political pieces. How would you say, if anyone's listening that's interested in getting into sort of political journalism, what would you advise them if they're interested in doing that? Going down the routes.
Marry rich is always the advice.
Yeah, that's always a good option.
Getting into journalism. Always well, but other than marital partners, I'm sure relationships advice isn't my strongest suit. But yeah, I think I genuinely think you just get better. I cringe when I look back at the articles I wrote at university, but the more you do of it, it's like anything, you get better at it. And so I would just sort of try and work out your own style, your voice. I always advise that reporting is a great way into these things, and you see most great columnists have been reporters or are reporting on something. They've gone along to a launch, they've gone to watch a premise question or something like that, and that when you start to re-report on things, you get a better feel for them, and that's where analysis comes in. But there's loads of great places out there, lots on the centre right, good disposition in the sort of blogosphere. So I suppose practice. Always buy a journalist a drink. I think that's a great way. It was one of my pieces of advice from a hack on the Times, HM paper of record, and I don't give up really, and I had plenty of knockbacks, and the more of you do it, the better you get. So just finding out what you're interested in, learning about yourself and your writing style. That would be my advice to anyone listening, and keep pitching to places like The Spectator.
I'd write for The Spectator purely for the caricature.
Yes. Yes. So was journalism always your aimed career then, political journalism? Or...
Oh God! Well, it depends what age you ask me. I mean, I think my first, I never really have been at the forefront of technology. My first aspiration in life was to be a steam train driver, which made me a sort of 60 years too late. And then I decided to be a print journalist. So I'm not really a finger on the pulse, as it were. I think I wanted to be a journalist from around the age of 2021, and I had a real interest in current affairs. And I sort of realised that the ones I liked at university were the ones gossiping in the pub. And you get paid for this, which was a real revelation. And I started doing work for the Times Diary and selling stories to them. And so Rupert Murdoch paid my way through university bar bills, so appreciation for that. My favourite nonagenarian. And I just went from there, really. I sort of stumbled into it, and my real love was history. And so getting to have a sort of a go at, as I say, the first rough draft was a real attraction to me. So I liked it, and someone hired me, and so it just went from there, really.
Fantastic. Zoe, have you got any questions?
Yeah, so I discovered that you used to live in Bristol. So obviously, being from Bristol, I was
if
like,
you hadn't noticed,
or if my accent in a giveaway. I mean, So I thought we could talk all things Bristol. What was your experiences?
I was going to say you're up my lover, yeah. It's a fantastic accent. I love it. I thought I was getting, first time I was in Tesco there, I thought I was getting sort of propositioned or something. I thought a bit forward of you. I had a wonderful time in Bristol. I went to the University of Bristol, and so I was around Stoke Bishop. I don't know whereabouts, the Downs around there. Lived a bit in Clifton as well.
Nice.
I think I spent more time in Lizard Lounge than I did in my lectures. I had a wonderful experience at Bristol. Really interesting politically. I was there Like sort of 2015, 2017, and obviously that was when the kind of Corbyn wave was sweeping, and a big sort of bastion of that Corbynism was in
Yes.
Bristol. So really interesting times. Starting student journalism, I managed to get into something like Spectator, but at Bristol there's a whole range of stuff, ranging from reading some serious stuff on like mental health and pastoral care, but also we did things like Bristol's best bums and fittest fresher and rubbers of the week.
Serious journalism.
A real smorgasbord of journalistic delight. Yeah. So I'm a tabloid man at heart. I'll tell you that. So I did Tab Bristol. So I had a wonderful time in Bristol, and probably one of my favourite city in the UK outside London. Yeah.
Good. I told you Scott is a lovely place.
It is. Are you bad-mouthing Bristol? Honestly,
No,
representation matters.
I wasn't bad mouthing it. I only spent a short amount of time. I won't repeat what I said earlier because it's not fair. But yeah, my experience wasn't great. I was only there for 4 days. It wasn't great.
Okay, well, try 4 years. It grows on you. Don't worry. Until you've had a taka like night owl. Honestly,
Exactly.
I'm going down a gastronomic memory lane here, but before your eyes.
I grew up in Bournemouth, so all we had was nightclubs and kebabs anyway. So I'm sure it's no different.
Oh, I tell you what, I would love a Tory conference at Bournemouth. That would be great. I went to Labour conference last year at Brighton. Obviously the traditional seaside town. They go to Brighton, Liverpool, they alternate, and that was enormous fun. And I can only imagine the carnage of a Conservative Party conference on the seaside, given how mental Labour's was in some ways. Yeah.
Because was it a Labour conference we had down here in 2015? We had something down here, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
I forget what it was.
Yeah.
But I remember it being here.
I'm sure it was good fun.
So, what are your thoughts of the Conservative Party now going? Like, obviously, because we've been in a bit of a mess for a little while. Things seem to have calmed down. Do you think there's any sign of improving?
I think it's going to be a very challenging year. I think that it was best summed up, the challenges facing Rishi Sunak last month, in 2 days, 48 hours, which was the watering down to the planning target, and then backing down on the onshore wind farm rebellion. And that showed that you've got these different factions in the party, both competing for different things. There's a lack of a kind of unifying vision. And you also look at the kind of rocks he has to scale his way through over the next few months. It's going to be a very difficult time leading up to that May election. And I just think that the fundamentals are very difficult. Is the average voter going to see their pay go up or down, or squeezed? It's going to go down. Inflation's still going to be running high. All these things eating in. I just think that with a 20-point lead, 20 months or so for an election, it'll be very difficult. So I predict sort of bumpy road. Although if 2022 has taught us anything, it's perhaps nothing in political life is truly certain yet.
It really has.
I'll tell you what, my prediction for this year, if I start writing a book about someone, bet against them. Their career is about to be over in about 2 months. So I'm the real Grim Reaper of death. Scott, that's my best tip for you, okay?
Have you got anyone lined up?
Don't want to curse them yet. No, I think I'm still in rehabilitation mode. I think Liz Truss took a lot out of us.
Was it genuinely strenuous work doing the book?
We probably wrote about 1,000 words a day for 64 days, and that they cut it down and edited it and stuff like that. I mean, it was more than not knowing, and I think the worst case for us would have been if she'd resigned in, say, late November, early December, when the book was already out, and we would have pulled our punches and been like, as we go to press, she's hanging on the edge. And there was obviously a lot of talk at the time that she could be a Theresa May kind of figure. Theresa May had that 2017 snap election and held on for another 2.5 years. 2 years or so. And, Liz Truss could have governed as a conventional Conservative for anywhere up to a year or so. But she promised to hit the ground from day one, and she certainly did. And that was very different, obviously, and meant that we drew the book to its conclusion at the end of October.
So 1,000 words a day, then how many hours? I mean, because you have to do, imagine you've done so many interviews as well.
Well, yeah, I was doing my job as well. So I think I took 2 weeks off for the book on leave, but the rest of the time, it was basically wake up at around 4 a.m, do 3 hours or so, go to work, do my job, do 2 more in the evening, and then all weekends. So yeah, it's probably about 40-hour job working week and 40 hours on top of that, but we had a goal, and that was the key thing. And in some ways, if we hadn't had those tight deadlines, I'm not sure how we could have produced it. But it was great fun with Harry as well. He's a bit of a character in Westminster, and we had a very
he
good
definitely
working
is a character. I agree
relationship.
with you there.
Yeah, so we worked together from the Mail on Sunday, and so we got back together for this, and it worked out really well.
It kind of sounds like you're like being a student again. I mean, you're trying to cram in as much time as you can, can't you?
Yeah, I wish my university essays were up to would have no publisher would have gone near my stuff, I'm sure. But it's very flattering to think that I produced anywhere near as much work as I did. I think I did more in those sort of 4 weeks on the book than I think I did in 3-4 years at uni. So.
So how long have you been at The Spectator now?
It's coming up to 2 years. March last year I joined, so yeah, 2 years in 2 months' time.
So are you guys working from an office again, or are you guys like?
Oh yeah, big working from the office. The Spectator. So, and why wouldn't you want to be? I mean, there's like Polaroid.
No, I was going to say, I mean, it must be quite awesome. Like people you must bump into.
Oh yeah, sometimes there were sort of adversaries, which is always slightly awkward. But most of the time it's wonderful. Yeah, they're a really, really good bunch of colleagues. The summer party's legendary, and in Fraser Nelson, I've got a brilliant editor. So, and that's another thing. It's just the more time you spend around journalists, the better you get, because you pick up stuff as osmosis style. And so, I do really like going in. I've been in today, and good to see everyone after the new year and sort of planning what mischief and mayhem we're going to cause in 2023.
I must say, I keep meaning to come to the members' drinks you guys hold.
Oh yes, for the subscribers. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's always worth it. You always meet the most interesting people there. Real mix. Some really entertaining people, and it's nice to have all the people sort of seeing the people who basically pay our wages. So that's kind of keep us grounded. Hope we're doing a good job. All that.
I also want to ask you, what are your thoughts on Matt Hancock going into the jungle?
Well, I think it was always a pivot towards some kind of light entertainment media career, and a really interesting experience is if you compare the comments he gets on his Twitter feed, it's your typical "die you Tory" whatever, and then you compare it to what he's put on his TikTok, and he's got a lot of TikTok fans, and I think that he is seen as a kind of meme, a kind of Portillo-esque kind of figure, and so I think that will be something to watch out for in the coming years or so. He's had his cabinet post, had a shot at running for leader of the party, and I think he's done a whole sort of series of initiatives like crypto. He had the Jingle Bell Ball photos, and I think he's probably realised his sort of time in Westminster up, and he'll go off and explore many new opportunities with his new partner.
I think I genuinely think I don't watch I'm a Celebrity normally, but I watched it religiously when I knew he was going in, and I genuinely think his sort of public persona improved. I think people liked him more after that. I think personally, from what I saw on Twitter and other social media accounts, I mean, that's not it's not set, is it? But I thought he improved.
Yeah, I think also the British public are not monsters, and I think that the more they saw of him, they realised that whatever you think of his policies, etc., he is a human being. And I think also the circumstances where everyone was voting for him to do challenges, people do respect that at the end of the day. He did get his hands dirty. He threw himself into everything. And there's a kind of begrudging respect once you've done that. And he did get to third in the end, which was a lot more than some of the other celebs who perhaps were happy to take a lot of criticism at him, managed to get far in that competition. So it's always interesting to see how people do in these things, and tendency as politicians going with low expectations and actually overperform.
It normalizes politicians. That's what these reality shows do. It just brings them back to they're actually just normal, genuine people, and that's what I think is great about like I'm a Celebrity with Matt going in. Should he have done it while he's obviously he may be an MP? Probably he's not, but it's definitely normalised him. And he's not the first politician to go and do a reality show. Johnny Mercer did.
Nadine Dorries did on the Celeb,
yes.
9 years ago.
So he's definitely not the first one. I doubt he'll be the last one as well. As we modernise as society, they want to get more inclusion because it opens up the door to fame with people that don't strictly watch politics.
I must say, I particularly enjoyed how it was the Tory that kept everyone fed and things going for I'm a Celeb. It was like real life, wasn't it? He was getting slagged off left, right, and centre, going, bloody Tories, Matt Hancock, but he's the one that kept him fed and going. And as soon as he stopped and didn't do it, everyone starved. Well, next question I was going to ask, what would you say is the best political moment of 2022?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the publication of Out of the Blue, the inside
Oh, of course.
story of the amazing rise and fall of Liz Truss, which I happen to have best moment for me. I mean, I loved the Rishi Sunak McDonald's denialism story, which was
I saw your
superb, which
tweet,
was
yeah.
Rishi Sunak says his favourite bit of the McDonald's menu for breakfast. And it turns out that dish hadn't existed on the McDonald's meal for 2 years. And then there was Sunak campaign sources briefing out that he had too much time to go to McDonald's. He doesn't spend any time with his family. It's like, what is this strategy? So that would be up there. But I suppose for me, it would be that final inglorious day of Boris Johnson's regime when he's at the liaison committee and 52 ministers have resigned and he's got a legion of cabinet ministers waiting for him in number 10 and Darren Jones is showing up. The phone's like, they're waiting for you, or so you say. No, they are Prime Minister, they're outside and the enemy's at the gate. And he sort of went in this final suicidal doomed bid and that was just and then he resigned the next day. It was just a sort of extraordinary 48 hours or so, all those resignations, and that really stood out to me. This great election winner, this very controversial figure, this larger-than-life character being brought down at the end was probably my moment.
It's been a hell of a year, I must say. It has politically, I've never seen anything like it. But I want to end on the most important question that we tend to ask people is, what's your top 3 biscuits?
Wow, top 3 biscuits. Yeah. Oh, God, I really want to do an Andy Burnham here and say, what did he say it was about? Bread and dripping or gravy or something like that. I'm a northerner or something. Well, clearly I'm not. But my top 3 biscuits. What a fantastic question. I mean, chocolate digestive, I think, is going up there. That's a lovely one. What else? God, I like ones with chocolate. What's been the best answer you've had on here?
Well, the chocolate hobnob's the most popular. My personal favourite, hands down, is the white chocolate rounds from M&S.
Oh, those are posh. Yeah, I can tell you're a Tory boy. Yeah. Very sound. Yeah. Okay, I'll go for one of those. I like that. So that's 2. What about yours, Zoe and Jordan?
So my favourite's Bourbon, even though I don't pronounce it properly.
Sorry, can we get that
everyone
again?
still knows what a Bourbon.
Good Lord.
Obviously, I don't pronounce it properly, but everybody still knows what biscuit I mean.
Wow, a West Country delicacy.
Exactly.
Okay, Bourbon. Okay, nice. And what's yours, Jordan?
Mine's just the simple hobnob. I actually said rich tea in my top 3, and these 2 were very, very disappointed. But I think a rich tea's it's subtle, it's humble, and it's nice.
I'm gonna
dip into a cup of tea.
Oh, I like that sort of range of complexions. I mean, what does your biscuit say about where you sit on the political spectrum? I think as my third, I'll be controversial and maybe make a libertarian point about regulations, which is I think Jaffa cake is a biscuit, isn't it? That was to evade tax, wasn't that the big debate? So, in the spirit
of debate previously, yeah.
In the spirit of political podcasting, I'll begin a debate with that. So I'll go for blimey, what did I go for? I went for chocolate digestive, the Tory white chocolate M&S thing, and then Jaffa cake. So there you go. There's your 3.
We're keeping a scoreboard, so every future guest that we have, we're going to see which is it's a bit like Top Gear. You got the fastest car. We're going to have the best biscuit.
Do you know, I love that, and the puns are endless with biscuits.
And if I see it on the Spectator, I will sue.
You know what? Imitation's the highest form of flattery, Scott. I mean, coffee house shots could do with a fair bit of biscuits. So if you see it, I'm just saying, I'm just paying homage to the
just credit us, yeah.
The original trio. Don't you worry.
Wonderful. I really appreciate you coming on tonight and spending some time with us. It's been real fun.
I just want a biscuit now, but I'll have to see what I can make do with. But thank you very much. My pleasure to talk to all 3 of you.
Wonderful. You take care.
Thanks James.
Guys.
Bye. Thank you, James.
Bye.
Bye.
Obviously, that was James from The Spectator there. What do you think of the top 3 biscuits? Any wingers there?
Well, the white chocolate round, or the Tory boy white chocolate round, as it will now forever be known.
Yes.
Tory boy chocolate rounds.
We should have told him you shopped at Waitrose, and then you would have realised how Tory you are. Jaffa cakes, are they a biscuit? Are they a cake? We had this discussion not that long ago, didn't we? So
I don't think they're worth eating, to be honest.
Oh, I love a Jaffa cake.
Oh, I love Jaffa cakes as well.
M&S's Jaffa cakes are the best. They're like little rectangular things, not round, and they're delicious.
I would say they're probably the most eatable. They're better than Jaffa cakes. I
They
prefer
are
the
Jaffa
lime ones
cakes?
to the orange. Yeah, but
And
they're
they do a
not.
nice cherry Jaffa cake.
No, it has to be the normal ones. Has to be.
Oh no, no, I prefer the cherry ones.
We've established recently you're just wrong in every scenario. Pineapple pizza is just
Oh,
no.
yeah.
There is nothing wrong with Hawaiian pizza. I even put mushrooms on it sometimes, just
Oh,
really,
for God's sake.
to really spice it up. Sweet corn is also good with sweet corn.
If the KBG's interested, I'll give you her address. I'll find it somehow. I'll give you it.
I'm going to make this a poll on our Twitter about Hawaiian pizza.
Be my guest.
Yeah, I'm going to hire some
I'm
bots.
going to.
So I tell you what, if Hawaiian pizza wings, me and Scott will do some sort of, what's it called? Forfeit.
All right, deal.
Yeah, I'm dragging you into this, Scott. Just
Yeah, I noticed you did that, yeah. I went really quiet when I heard forfeit. I thought you were going to get me to wear a grass skirt or something.
I do wonder if
Oh,
it's
that's an idea.
wear a grass. No, why even mention that?
I've always wanted to do that thing when you dance. Right?
I'm trying to think what it's called. Did any of you ever watch Hawaii Five-0?
I've only seen the movie. I never watched the show.
No.
I prefer Dukes of Hazzard.
Magnum PI is also really good.
Yeah, that is the best mustache known to man.
I'm talking about the recent ones, not the older ones.
Oh, then no.
No, they're good.
The original. You can't. No.
Yeah, I'm not denying the original's not good, but the recent ones are good.
Who is the new Magnum PI?
I don't even know. This is what annoys my missus. She'll mention celebrities' names. I won't have a clue who she's talking about.
Yeah, I'm the same, yeah.
I only know who Tom Hardy is because I've watched enough of his movies and he doesn't live too far away from me. Not that I'm stalking him at all.
You're not going past his house in like a big fluffy leather coat and a mask, are you, pretending to be Ben?
Yeah, I just bought Zoe's dressing gown.
That's why I haven't worn it for the last couple of weeks. He stole it.
Thank you for listening to Political Chinwag. Please subscribe and like on whatever you're watching us on, whatever platform. And please also leave us a rating of 5 stars. Anything below and that will bring Liz Truss back to destroy the economy even more. Thanks. Bye.